Hey, Ariel. What are you doing in Daddy's recording chair?
Dad, we need to talk.
Well, sure, baby. What about?
It's about your feet, Dad. Your feet.
My feet? What are you talking about?
You have ugly feet.
But your mom fell in love with me because of my feet.
No.
My mom always told me I had beautiful feet. I can't believe this.
I took a picture. Do you want to see it?
Sure, whatever. Yikes. I've seen worse. Well, at least I don't have the ugliest feet ever. Let me tell you about who did. Boy, talk about your awkward conversations. Hey, I'm Mario Escobedo. Thanks for checking out Equipped. This is a channel dedicated to adding value to your spiritual growth through Bible study. Today, we're looking at John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17. You're probably familiar with this chapter because it's where Jesus washes his disciples' feet. And this takes place not too long before Jesus was betrayed, arrested, and crucified. Now, you've probably heard that at the time of Jesus, washing feet was a dirty, disgusting, humiliating job reserved only for servants. And that's totally, I sound like a surfer. Totally true. Totes. Am I too old to say totes? That's completely true. It was, but I'd like for us to look at this story from just a slightly different angle this time. I'd like for us to imagine, if we can, what it was that Jesus might have been thinking as he was washing the disciples' feet. Now, here's what I think Jesus might have been thinking. He's going from disciple to disciple, and I'm imagining that Jesus is thinking this: these are beautiful feet. These are the most beautiful feet I've ever seen. Now, why would I say that Jesus is looking at his disciples' feet saying these are beautiful feet? For this reason: Jesus knew that these were the feet of men who were going to take his message throughout the entire world. Not only that, Jesus also knew that these were the feet of men who were going to give their very lives in sacrifice for Jesus. And so when Jesus is going from disciple to disciple, he's looking at their feet saying, these are beautiful feet. After Jesus has finished washing his disciples' feet, he tells them something really important. It's in verses 14 and 15. John 13, 14, and 15. It reads like this: "Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." Now, I'm sure that when the disciples heard Jesus say this, they may have been thinking something like this: yeah, sure, I like these guys. I've been with these guys for 3 years. I know everything about them. We're all good fellas here. Sure, I'll wash their feet, no problem. But there was a problem. There was one little detail in the story that the disciples didn't know, but that Jesus did know. This one detail changes everything. We find that detail in verse 11. Look at what it says. "For he knew who was going to betray him." Jesus already knew that Judas was going to betray him. And this is where we find out that Judas had the ugliest feet ever. Why do I say that? Because here's where we find out that Judas's feet, these were the feet of a man that would go to the chief priests and the rulers of the day and would betray Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. These were the feet of the man who would lead a mob to come to find Jesus and arrest him unjustly. Judas had the ugliest feet ever. This is where Jesus' actions take a completely different meaning, because in spite of the fact that Jesus already knew that Judas was going to betray him, he washed his feet anyway. He didn't come to Judas after washing everyone else's feet and say, "Oh no, not you. Listen, I'll wash everyone else's feet, but not yours because you're going to betray me." That doesn't happen in the story. Even though Judas was going to betray Jesus, and Jesus already knew that, even though Judas had the ugliest feet ever, Jesus washed those feet anyway. Think about what this would have meant to the disciples after they found out that Judas betrayed Jesus. I think they would have thought back to this moment when Jesus washed everybody's feet, and it would have been like this aha moment for them. They would have been like, wait a minute, Jesus already knew that Judas was going to betray him, and he washed his feet anyway. And then Jesus said, do the same thing I have done. And here's where we come, in my opinion, to the big takeaway, the big idea from this story right here. When Jesus washed Judas's feet, even though he knew that Judas was going to betray him, essentially, here's what Jesus was telling them. Serve others even when they don't deserve it. It would have been one thing for Jesus to wash all 12 disciples' feet if they were all going to die for him, but it takes on a completely different meaning when Jesus already knew that one of those disciples was going to betray him, and he washed his feet anyway. He served him anyway. Jesus was telling the disciples, and telling us today too, serve others even when they don't deserve it. I'll be the first to admit that that's something really hard to do. I mean, this thing about serving others when they don't deserve it, that's super hard to do, especially when it's people that are close to you, people who you think shouldn't hurt you. I'm talking about your friend, family, your husband, your wife, your kids, your parents, those people whom you would never expect to hurt you. Sometimes they do. And still, you have to serve them even when they don't deserve it. So right about now, just like me, you're probably thinking, well, maybe this one has some wiggle room. Maybe this is one of those optional commands of Jesus. But that's not Jesus' intention in this teaching. In fact, towards the end of this story, Jesus tells the disciples this. What? You think you're better than me? Okay, so maybe he didn't use those words exactly, but pretty close. Look at what Jesus says in verse 16. He says, very truly I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. So this is what Jesus is saying. If I've done this and I'm greater than you because I'm the master, I'm the teacher, then it stands to reason that you should do it also. So sorry, this isn't one of those optional commands. We've been left an example, and not just an example by any good Christian or any other good person. We've been left an example by Jesus Christ himself, our master. So yeah, there's that, right? It's one of those things that as Christians, as Christ followers, we're just kind of expected to do. Now, granted, this is hard. I'd say very near impossible to do. Now, I don't know about you, but when I have something really tough to do that I know I can't do on my own, it really helps to know that there's someone who does know what they're doing there to help me. And that's the case with Jesus. He knows that we can't do this on our own. So what does he do? He helps us through the power of the Holy Spirit living in us. He helps us do those things that he asks us to do that he knows are completely impossible for us to do on our own. He gives us the power to do them. So maybe the next time you're tempted to ignore this command or consider it something optional, I just want you to picture Jesus looking down at you saying, what, you think you're better than me? So there you have it. Jesus taught us through this incredible example to serve others even when they don't deserve it. And hey, now you know who had the ugliest feet ever. Thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. If this added value to your spiritual growth, then hey, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment, definitely share so that others can benefit from this as well. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed. What are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button so that every time I post a new Bible study, you'll be informed like that. John chapter 13, verses 1 through 17. Ugliest feet ever. You are now equipped. Thanks for watching. Oh, hey. Ariel, what's up?
Dad, it's time to take care of those feet.
Yikes.